I just visited the United States. Last week I was in Japan. I was very stunned for those very advanced countries and still very cash-based. And when I look at my son's iPhone in New York City, I was very shocked that his iPhone is very primitive. All the apps he downloads there, nowhere compared with my MBA students here. When I was in Japan, I went to these restaurants. In the end, I almost couldn't get out because they insist on cash. So we know that in China right now, we almost no need of cash. You can easily spend the whole day and just with your mobile phone, and you can go through the whole day. So to a certain degree, China, I would say, is more advanced in those e-commerce or the mobile commerce. So first of all, I can see that this is the trend. Obviously, that this is a very famous quote in New York Times. They said Uber don't own anything, but they're the largest taxi company, and likewise the Airbnb is the largest hotel chain. Now, share economy is not new. In fact, in old days we have e-commerce, and many of the goods and services can be done through the internet, but only until very recently, particularly the gadgets in your phone. Imagine this 10 years ago. 2007, when iPhone just started. I'm sure some of you had those, the first generation iPhone. Compared with the iPhone today, it's completely different gadgets. So in essence, that in these last 10 years, even though the gadgets developed by Apple, but to China, it becomes flourished. And so when you look at these issues here, what's the characteristics of the sharing economy? In some sense, it just mobilize your resources more efficiently. So for example, some of you at home, when I lived in the United States, I have a drill in the garage. Do you know how often you use the drill? The whole lifetime, 18 minutes. And yet you had to go to Black & Decker and own one. Imagine that if you can share this just with the neighbors or someone in the 2 blocks away. Now obviously this is some idea that happened and all started with the Uber and all this. So if you look at China today, almost all dimensions, from how you go around it, we have a Didi, we have all these different hailing taxis apps here, and now you see car sharing, now your car rental, even buses, even the parking space. Think about that, your garage can be rented out in a timely basis. Your garage, you go into a vacation 1 month, hey, you can rent out your garage space, for example. And all these are happening as we speak today in China. What about others? Well, we look at Airbnb. Yeah, all kind of these kind of short-term, long-term leases of your homes. And many of these, in fact, some are run by our EMBA students in CEIBS. How about cooks coming to your home? And we have this student running this venture right now in Beijing. What it is? Let's say you have your mom at home cooking for the children. And when they return home from the office, why not, when you're eating the dinner, and your neighbor who is just a single guy, and they could not cook by themselves, they can come to your dining room and share your meal with you, and you charge them. Even your kitchen can be shared. So all these adventures are happening as we speak today, and all this, even though you are Chinese, they are reflecting the operating business and how much money they have get from the VCs, A round, B round, C round, D round, etc. Sharing offices, say CEIBS, right? Let's say the class decide to go to have a sabbatical for 1 month, and if the dean permit, I can rent out office to someone else. And what about all the information, skill transactions, all these things happening as we speak? Look at that. Logistics. Someone deliver things to your home. We all have these shipping companies, and they have those people deliver things to your home. They have a statistic saying that they had to ring you 3 times before they can actually deliver, because most of the people are not home to receive the goods. Imagine the time wasted for the person trying to reach you 3 times. And so some of these express companies saying, well, why don't we do this? We can just let this delivery to your neighbors. Think about that. If you have grandma stay home 24/7, hey, I can receive the package for my neighbors, for all the people who live in my neighborhood. That is a business model already. And all these things, toy sharing, think about you kids have toys. And after a couple of years, what about those toys? In the United States, you donate it to charities. You go to these Salvation Armies. What about we can all share this? And Toys R Us is going to go bankrupt because of this. Data sharing, Wi-Fi sharing, all your Wi-Fi at home, it can be shared just by using the technology to all this information. So in essence, you could see that many of these things you see today is happening in China. And as I say, all these logo here representing ongoing business, and many of the money have been pumped into here. So in essence, in China today, including the bikes you see on the streets, they are very new. But why is it happening in China? And many of the foreigners ask me saying, wow, you are so advanced. And most of you live in this world right now. Is it a good thing or bad things? Obviously, bring a lot of convenience. At home, you can have people deliver your nightcaps. Do you know instant noodles? Who is the largest instant noodles in China? Master Kang, okay? How many bags of instant noodles they can make every year? 500 millions. 500 millions manufactured. In the last 2 straight quarters, their sales plummeted by almost 80%. They anticipate the sales will go forever. Guess what? Chinese stop eating instant noodles. Do you know what the reason? Because of health concerns? Not at all. Because now everybody can deliver the food to your home. For those people who are supposed to eat instant noodles at home, right now you can just phone call and people deliver food to your home easier than anything else. Last month, I have a battery run out of my clickers. I don't know where to get that small little white things. I open the app, someone gonna run around the whole country, not whole country, whole city, and get that little battery for me, give back the receipts, and I only need to pay the guy 6 RMB for that kind of services. So we live in Shanghai, Beijing, we are actually wonderful, have all this convenience. So all this shared economy, obviously, in the end of the day, it must create value, and it must capture value. So what is this? It's not saying just for the startups, but the reason we can have this shared economy going is not much of a surprise. In the past, have been very complicated procedures, steps, and have broken trust, and limited access, resource wasted, complexity, all this. With the mobile phone, with the platform, with the information change between the supply and demand, we can match the supply and demand. And it's not just for the small guys. This is a true case by Marriott. This person find out that a lot of his her clients or the guests doing business in the coffee shop in the lobby. We all know the lobby has a coffee shop right there. She observed that not only just the guests meeting clients in the lobbies, even including some of those business around the Marriott would use the lobby to do business. While in the same time, you all know in the hotel, second floor, third floor, what are they? Conference rooms. More often than not, they're empty. They say, how stupid could it be? We have these empty spaces. Most of the time, it's sitting empty. Why don't we just use that and have all those people who want to conduct business can use it? Again, this is the idle capacity using a platform that can match the people who need the space, and Marriott have the redundancy of space. So you could see that the shared economy actually is not mystery. So long as you can match the supply and demand efficiently and meet all those standards. So when I ask the venture capitalists, what are the criteria you look for? Whom do you invest? They say, well, first of all, they will look at it from whether or not it's going to have a potential. Is anywhere you can dream big after that? Is it a high unit price and low usage? For example, high unit price, it could be very expensive to own it, but you don't use it often at all. And if you own it, most of the time you're sitting idle at your home or your company. Why not rent it out? For example, Caterpillar, we all know they are the ones create these heavy machinery earth movers. And To own one for a small construction company is very expensive. It could be costing millions of RMB just to own one earth mover. And how often you use it? Probably not often. So why not I just rent it by hours? Yes, Caterpillar would do that. But think about that. Suppose you're a big construction companies. You already own a fleet of those things. You also can rent it out. So it's in the sense that you can think about some of the situations, unit price is high and low usage rate. And also there's uncertain usage occasions. You don't know when you're going to use it. And so if those are not regular use, occasionally I want to use it, then of course I would rather rent one. And of course, sometimes if in limited situation you need it. But more importantly, it's about the standardization. You think about Airbnb. The headache Airbnb is not about the supply. It's about the standard of those rooms. Pictures stayed there, nice, clean. And I had the experience too. I rented Airbnb. I was completely distraught because the picture did not even match the reality. So the standardization is the issue every sharing economy or business had to deal with. I just mentioned about renting out your kitchen, your grandma cooking for your neighbors. Think about that. What if you get poisoned in your home? Standardization. What kind of food can be considered is sellable? And the company who run this, they had to go to certify every single grandma's cooking. Can you imagine that? Everybody can cook differently. You like Sichuan style. It will know Sichuan by this person may not be the same as that person. So those are the standardization issues need to be dealt with. Can it be scaled up? Now you think about the bikes we see in Shanghai, more bike. So much of bikes that didn't come around. Today, Shanghai government say stopped because too much. But guess what? With the 23 million people in Shanghai, so far we only have 65,000 bikes. 65,000 versus 23 million. It's a drop in the bucket, and yet Shanghai government already say too much. So how big is the scale is enough? Is this the issues? And whether or not can make money, of course, setup costs. Each mobile is going to cost you 1,500 RMB. OFO, 260 RMB. Obviously, it's quite different. And what about depreciation? How long the bike can last? And where the operating costs? For mobile, for example, they need every 500 bags. They need one person to go around the whole city to try to gather the bags together and put it back in the train stations. For OFO, sorry, I take it back. 2,000 for mobile, for OFO had to be every 500 bags need one person. Why? Because they only have a GPS system there. So in essence, it doesn't mean that OFO is a lousy business model, but it just said that they have a less setup cost. Despite they don't have GPS, but they supplement with a more human being to operate it. And for the C2C, to try to acquire customers on both sides, just like Taobao, Tmall, Alibaba did. How do you get people in the both sides? And are you able to extract the commissions by being the platform players? So in essence, this is ongoing right now. And we see that in China, in this regard, is more advanced than many, many countries. Whether it's a good news and how is the implication for the societies is still ongoing, but there are many things need to be discussed, and I'm sure that many of the colleagues are already looking into it. What could be the competing strategy? You could see that Didi forced Uber out of this country. You might say they have a deeper pocket. Wrong. Uber to this day insists that they would not let you pre-book your ride. I went to the United States, I want to get a taxi, it had to be right there. Uber would not let you pre-book 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 1 hour later. And yet Didi allow you to do so. That is the watershed difference between these two strategies. It's not as efficient. Using the algorithm, you compute it, you know that Uber is more efficient. But for Chinese customers, to know when I can get my taxi or ride is very critical. And that is something that is welcome. And that's one of the strategies they did. The other thing they did is try to embrace taxi, because taxi, they are incumbent. They're the ones being hurt. So they embrace the taxi, say, come to join me. You can try to get the benefits of the platform too. So by smartly including taxi groups, this resistance went away. And with the deep market, obviously that eventually Uber says, sayonara China, okay? Now, many things, when you think about this internet plate, even including way back then, Alibaba, how they beat eBay. Even in today, Amazon is so huge, almost 1,000 US dollars per share now. But in China, diddly squat. They don't even can compare to JD.com. Why is that? It's not about the technology. It's about whether or not you know Chinese. Alibaba way back then, they know one thing. To meet supply and demand, it's not about the good, it's fake goods or lousy or it's the quality, it's about the trust. When I want to give money to my dean, he or she might be someone I don't even know. How would I trust him to deliver the goods just as I wanted? Alibaba knew that it's the headache they had to deal with. So they create Alipay. Money parked there for 7 days. If you don't like what you see, money returned to you. And that, as an escrow account, that is the one ensure the trust. And eBay, when they came to this country, did not recognize that, only use American model. I want to cut the commissions, I want to do this. And eventually, they tail between their legs, left this country. So when I said this, what is a competing strategy? You cannot simply take whatever prevalent in the Western world and come to China and say, this should work. Not at all. You got to know the clients and people's habit. The other thing, people also ask me, saying, why is flourish in China, not in the United States, not in Japan, not in Europe? You want to guess? Because Chinese don't care about privacy. They don't protect it. They don't know they've been invaded. And all the companies who use the data, they bluntly use it left and right, violating our privacy, but they don't care. What I'm saying is this is something that is quite unique in China. So when you come to China to play Chinese world, including many of you, I saw those questions quite a lot, and I'm really sympathetic. But in essence, in the end of the day, you just make sure that you come to here, what are the competing strategy? What is the marketing entry strategy? How do you ensure the trust? And all these issues are quite common and well respected in outside of China, but here you have to take it with a grain of salt and try to treat it differently. And what can be the conceptual model and framework for this sharing economy, blah, blah, blah. So there are open questions and yet to be discovered, and most of these developments in shared economy, I would say that some of them probably were never going to be applicable outside of China. For example, this mobile thing. Riding the bikes sounds easy. Guess what? If you go to the United States, the first thing is the safety, helmet, okay? What if you ride a bike without helmet and get injured? You could sue the pants out of you, okay? So in the sense that all these things had to hack into with the context of China. Having said that, I would say that in this regard, especially in this mobile internet world, especially in terms of all kinds of business ventures coming out in China, China definitely is not an emerging market at all. Okay, thank you very much.